Welcome to Detroit's Darkest Times. First thing I want you to do is subscribe, hit the like, and the notification bell. If you want to support the channel, Cash App is $ FC313. PayPal me DDT 313. If you want to support the channel, feel free. Today's story is about two people coming up in Detroit, Michigan. And this happens on Trumbull Avenue and Grand River, starting out. This story is about me and another person. And at the time we had first met when she was 5 years old and I was 8 years old. And this is on Trumbull in Detroit, Michigan. At this time, we liked each other. I remember going upstairs and putting my school clothes on. Back in them days, you had school clothes and street clothes. When you got out of school, you had to take your school clothes off and put your street clothes on. I remember her grandmother brought her over to my house, and her grandmother and my dad were friends. And they were sitting out in the front yard talking. And I went upstairs and put my new school clothes on because I wanted to, impress her. Because I liked her. And anyways, I went up to do that and got my clothes, got all G'd out, came back downstairs. And my dad jumped on me and told me to go back upstairs and take them clothes off. So at the time I thought I was going to impress this girl, my dad, he, being mean, and he should have known what I was trying to do. But anyways, he told me to go upstairs and take my school clothes off and put my street clothes back on. So as time passed, her grandmother brought her over quite often. I remember one time me and my sister and her walked to Scripps Park. This is on Trumbull and Grand River. And we're walking in the park, and she's about 3 years younger than I am. And she's telling my sister that she likes me. And I said, she's too young for me. And I always liked the older girls anyways. So at this time, my sister talks me into kissing her. So the first kiss with her was in Scripps Park, Grand River, Trumbull Avenue, Detroit, Michigan. As time goes on, her grandmother moves to Temple and Trumbull in a second floor apartment behind the Temple store. And I go up there one day, knock on the door, and her grandmother's gone, and her grandpa's there and her. So I go in, talk to her for a little while, and this time, we're a few years older. Then as time passed, I moved to a different neighborhood. While I'm in this same neighborhood on Trumbull, I used to take a bus down Grand River to Joy Road to Heritage Place. And this is a big apartment building. And her mom used to bring her over there because her grandma had ended up managing this building called Heritage Place. And so I used to go out there a lot, and her mom would bring her over and stuff, so that I was able to see her sometimes over there. And as the years passed, we just ended up seeing each other, no matter what neighborhood we moved in. It was like when we moved in a different neighborhood, they would move in a different neighborhood. And it was like they was always around, in the vicinity. So we ended up moving over to Livernois and Otis. And then my sisters, they end up going walking. And my sister finds out that she lives in the neighborhood too, around the corner. So, we end up, still liking each other and stuff like that. And going together in the neighborhood off and on. And then one of my sisters get married, and she gets an apartment above the Big D's bar. And then most time I'm friends with her husband, so most time I'm staying with them most of the time. But then me and her hook up there and in the apartment, stuff like that. Then as time passes, I move on down Livernois to Plummer. And at this time, she moves over off of Michigan Avenue, off of Cecil, actually. And we're still seeing each other, and we're older now. We're like teenager. And she used to ride her bike to my house, come to see me, or I'd go to her house and see her. And sometimes I would go to her school and pick her up, quite a bit, really, and then walk her home from school. And there's something about me and her that always, we always ended up running into each other, liking each other, and, sticking together and things like that. But then later we get real serious. And then our parents are worried about her ending up getting pregnant, and we're kind of, we're at a young age, and they was worried about her getting pregnant and stuff because they knew we was serious with each other. And and we was serious with each other. And then they decided, might be best if we got married. So they asked us, did we want to get married? And we was like, yeah, And so we ended up going to get married. So then we find out in Detroit, Michigan, you can't get married there not unless you're 18. And at this time, I am 16 and she's 13. So then we find out that you could get married in the South at a young age. So her mom and my mom was from the South. Her mom was from Georgia, and my mom was from Tennessee. Anyways, we come to the South, to Tennessee, to see if we can't get married. And first we went to Georgia to see if we can get married. And went to Ringo, Georgia. And when we went over there, they said, well, he's 16 and she's 13, so she has to be pregnant in order for them to get married. So we come back to Tennessee to my grandmother's house. And then my mom's talking to her oldest sister on the phone. And I guess they're talking about the situation or whatever. And her oldest sister says they can get married in Chattanooga downtown. And she don't have to be pregnant. So what we did, we had went downtown and they said long as you got one parent on her side and one parent on my side or both to sign the paper, they can get married. So her mom signed for her, and then my mom and dad signed for me. And then we had got married, and we got married, and we stayed at my grandmother's for a little while. I think about 2 months, and then we went back to Detroit. And while we're in Detroit, we end up going to stay with my oldest sister, and we're on Manson and Toledo in Detroit, Michigan. And this is a 2-family flat, and we're staying upstairs. Well, my sister decides she's going to move out, and she asked us if we want that apartment. And then we was like, yeah, we'll take the apartment. So this was our first apartment. And then while we were staying there, we ended up having a kid, a daughter, and we were young at this time. And then we're staying there, and I'm working at a place called Paintworks, and it's on 10 Mile in Riggs. It's a paint shop where they paint Army parts. Anyways, we're hooked up there, and we're, going, we're just newlyweds. So we, a year passes, then a couple years pass. And then we end up going to a state park with a friend of mine and his old lady and his daughter. So we go to the state park and we're hanging out there at the beach and having a good time. And then we come back, and when we get back, from the state park, my friend and his old lady go home, and then we're there, and then I have to go to work that Monday, and then my wife asks me, could my friend and his old lady take her to Kmart while I'm at work? So I'm like, yeah, I don't care, if they want to take you, So they come and they take her to Kmart, and people say, I don't know how true this is, but people say that it wasn't him and her, it was just him that took her to Kmart. And then, so I got wind of that, and then I was like, well, I don't know if this is true or not, so I'm just going to, let it ride, So anyways, as time passed, we end up moving over to Homer and Woodmere. And actually, we moved into a house that my godmother had lived in, and I think she moved to Kentucky. and she was telling me she's moving, and if I wanted her house, she could hook me up with it because she was, friends with the owner of the house. So I was like, yeah, I'll take the house. And it was a pretty decent house, too. We moved over there. And then while we're living over there, I remember my wife wanting to go around to the store to get some Pepsi. And it's only like 2 blocks away, around the corner and up the street. And she wants to know if she can drive the car. And so I said, yeah, if you want to drive it, just be careful. And she goes around to the store, and while she's she goes in the store, gets her stuff, and I had laid on the couch to take a nap because I was tired. And then she comes back and she's been crying and she's scared and stuff like that. And I was like, what happened? She said, I got into the car and I was backing up. And as I was backing up, I ran into the car behind me. But when I said, was there anybody in the car? And she's like, no, there wasn't nobody in the car. But as I hit the car, the Detroit police was driving down the street and they seen me do it. So then they asked me they stopped and asked me, did I have license and all that? And I told them no. And so they told her to leave the car there and she had to walk home. So she came and told me. And then I had to go around the corner and get the car. And, but anyways, while we're living there, the friend that I'm telling you about that we went to the state park, somehow him and another guy that I know, they bring a car to the back of my house, and in my backyard the fence was took down where you could pull a car in the back. And they bring a car over there, and it's the same kind of car I got, and he has the same kind of car I got too. So but they bring it over there and I'm at work. So then I'm starting to think, after I get home, I look out the back door and there's a car in my backyard. And then I'm like, hey, where's this car come from? And she said, your friend brought it over. He wants to take the motor out of the car and put it in his car. And I was like, they can't do that. And I said, for one, he didn't even know where I lived at. And she, so she had to tell him where I lived at. And I said, you can't do that. And so I said, did he leave a phone number or something? And she said, yeah, I got a book of matches where he works at, and it's got his phone number on that. I said, oh, so you got his work phone number. And then she was like, yeah, he came over. When he was over here, I asked him for a light, and he gave me a book of matches that had his work name and number on it. That's a crock of shit, right? But anyway, that was her story. And this was telling me then that, the incident over on Manson, Toledo was the first incident that I kind of blew off. But this incident right here told me that this girl is not who I thought she was. Anyways, that had happened, and I told her, I said, you're going to have to call him and tell him he's got to come get this car because he's got his own yard to put a car in. He don't need to put it in my yard. And so I think what his plan was, I think they were sneaking around with each other, and his plan was if he had a car over there to take the motor out, he had reason to be over there all the time, even if I wasn't there. So at this time, she's doing bad, she's doing wrong in the marriage. So, uh, we ended up splitting up, and then my sister and her old man, they moved over on Cecil on the other side of Michigan. And so I was staying over there with them. Sometimes I would stay with some friends, just here and there, because I'm a young guy. I'm just out and about, really. And and then I stay over there with them, and then she gets in contact, because her and my sister are friends, and she gets in contact with my sister and talking about she wants to get back with me and all that. So, then I decided to try to make it work out. So while we're over there, she ends up coming to stay over there with me, and we let that house go. And so she's staying, me and her staying there with my sister and my brother-in-law and stuff. And then uh, something happened that we we called that guy over there because I wanted to confront him and have a talk with him. So he pulls in the alley behind the house, and he's got his wife and his daughter with him. So his wife sits in the car, but I'm sure she can hear what I'm saying to him. And I almost threw him in a garbage can, to be honest with you. But I didn't, because his daughter was in the car. Otherwise, his ass would have went in the garbage can. uh, but anyways, I was confronting him about messing around with my wife. But really, it was her and him. It wasn't just him. You know what I mean? So I was confronting him, and telling him, I don't want him around anymore. And, me and you were supposed to be friends. And, I just, the whole scenario when you have that issue, some guys had that issue, some guys didn't. But, anyways, I was fire hot. And then I had a good mind to, beat his ass right there and then throw him in the trash can. That's what my intentions was, because I was just mad. And I was a young man at the time. But I did, tell him what I thought. And then his old lady was in the car tripping out because she was wondering what was going on. But I'm pretty sure she figured it out without anybody telling her anything, because I'm sure she had to hear me outside the car. But anyways, he just got in his car and he just drove away, you know. And I thought that was, cold to, do your friend like that. But he just showed me what kind of person he was, and we were young at the time. Now, he might have a different thought on it today, and so do I. But at the time in question, I was mad. And but it just let me know that the lady I was married to wasn't the lady I was supposed to be with, because she was just you know doing a lot of crazy things and not being loyal, for one. But you know, and as time went on, we ended up moving to right off 75 on Lafayette, off of Livernois. And we have this place over there. And then she gets the idea. And when she was a young lady, this show used to come on TV called Dance Fever, where everybody danced and stuff like that. And she could dance. She was a good dancer. And so when we moved over there, she asks me, "What do you think about me going to be a dancer?" No, actually, before we moved over there, we we was still staying with my sister and brother-in-law. She was asking me, when we was by ourselves, she was like, "What do you think about me being a dancer?" And I said, "I don't know. That don't sound like something you should be doing if you're married." And then she was like, "Well, I know this girl Becky, and this girl Becky works at the uh, dance club, and she makes a lot of money." And the girl Becky told her that you can get a job there and dance and nobody touches you or nothing like that, and things like that. So she was telling me that, and then I was like, "Well, I don't know if you want to, if it's like that," because I wasn't familiar at the time about the situation. And I said, "If you want to do that and you can make good money, then." She said, "Well, she told me if you'll take me up to the place, she'll be there because she works there, and she can help me get the job." So I said, "All right, I'll take you up there." And I was really against it, but then again, she told me, that they don't touch you or nothing. They just watch you dance and all that. And, at this point, the bond was broken between me and her anyways, because the way she was rolling. So at this time, I was like, whatever. So, anyways, I took her up to a place called Chablis, and it's on Michigan Avenue, but I do believe it's in across the Dearborn line, or it's right at the Dearborn line. A place called Chablis Dance Club. And if you know what I'm talking about when I say dance club, I'm just you know. But anyways, it's a bar where the women dance and stuff like that. So she goes in, and I'm waiting in the car, and she's in there for a while. So I guess she has to audition, or she just talks to the owner or something. I'm not for sure because I'm in the car. Then she comes out and she says, "I got the job and I start at this day," or whatever. So I was like, "All right." And so she got the job. Well, after she got the job, we ended up moving to an apartment on Lafayette. And actually, when she got that job, she worked there, and then we moved to Lafayette. And then I want to say she worked a little bit at Dirty Harry's. That's another place, but that's in Detroit on Michigan Avenue. And but anyways, she's working at Chablis, and then we're living on Lafayette, and then my car breaks down. So Lafayette and Livernois, from where Chablis is, it's a little ways. It's on Michigan Avenue. So she says, "Do you think I can ask your sister-in-law for a ride as long as I give her gas money?" And at that time, people would give you a ride as long as you had gas money. They'd give you a ride. They didn't care where it was at. Because a lot of people back then, they liked to drive around, stuff. So if they had gas, they was willing to do it. But I said, "What you gonna do? Have her drop you off at the dance club?" Because she's trying to keep it a secret, where nobody knows where she worked. And she said, "No, I'm gonna have her drop me off at Payless Shoes, and that's across the street from the dance club. And I'm just gonna tell her I work at the shoe store." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, do you?" So that's what she did for a little while until I got a car. But at that time, me and her ended up. I remember she was out late, so she'd come home late, stuff like that. And at this time, I'm working at the Casey Fence Company, in Detroit. And she comes home and she's making anywhere from like 130 to 180 a night, something like that. And so she's making money and she comes, but I'm still not really with it. And so I, I remember one time I went to sleep and I had to work on a Saturday. So uh, at this time we had two kids and they're small, you know. I want to say maybe 6 and 7, maybe. And anyways, we eat dinner and stuff one night, and then we go to bed. And then I told my friend he was coming to pick me up that worked with me at Casey's Fence. I told him to come by my bedroom window and honk the horn, and then I'll get up and get ready and come out. And it was a Saturday, we had to work. So he comes by, he honks the horn. I get up, get dressed real quick, and then I'm out the door and I go to work. Well, I work all day long. Then I come back home, and then for some reason I ain't got a door key at this time. I don't know why, but anyways, I knock on the window because she's supposed to be home. And then my two kids, we had like not blinds, like shades on the window that you could pull up and down. And the two kids come to the window. So I'm knocking on the door, and me and her's been having issues anyways. And I'm knocking on the window, and the kids come to the window, and but they don't know how to open the door. And anyways, the door's locked, so I keep knocking, but she never comes to the window or comes to the door. So I'm thinking she just don't want me to come in or whatever, right? I'm thinking a whole bunch of stuff, to be honest with you. But I know the kids are in there. So I'm like, all right, then I'm just going to go to a friend of mine's house. So I took off to a friend of mine's house. And then while I'm over there for about an hour. And then her and her mom pulls up, but she don't have the kids with her.